Mhm. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Extra Lab podcast. Today, we're very lucky enough to have with us Ruth White. Ruth, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Ruth, I was saying it before we started this episode, but I've had the opportunity to run at Festival of Champions, which is, if any of you don't know, a big invitational in Maine. And every single year, Ruth has been there running, and boy, the performances you've put together. So, what goes into those performances? You're the big headline for the races, so what is that like?
Thank you. Yeah. Um, it's just really fun to have the opportunity to run at festival with tons of runners from across the state and across New England and some from Canada. And it's fun to have the opportunity to run with my team and um, obviously for every runner, months of summer training and weeks of hard work early in the season, go into festival, which is pretty early in the season. Um, and yeah, just hard work with my team and yeah.
Definitely. And you run for Orono, which is a really good running school. And if I'm correct, you come from a running family. So what is that like? Just together.
Yeah, it's fun to have a really supportive community that understands the sport and I've had a lot of role models. Um, Growing up doing summer track and having the high school kids, like watching the high school kids and having them coach us, has definitely helped me grow my love for running and for hard work. And also running with my sisters has been really fun. My older sister is running in college and my younger sister runs in high school on the same team as me. Um, and so it's fun to have them to practice with and definitely since we've been young, it's helped me develop a really strong love for the sport.
Definitely. And, going back to festival a little bit, this year was a really special year. You broke that 17-minute barrier in the 5K, which is absolutely ridiculous. So what was that like? Just were you going for that going into the race or?
Thank you. Yeah. I definitely wasn't expecting that I'd be able to run that fast, but it was really good conditions, really good competition, like Tian Ewings and a whole bunch of other really fast girls from Maine and out of state. And so it just pushed me, and the combination of the weather was perfect, the course conditions were perfect, and the competition was great.
Definitely. And, New England's was held at Belfast as well, and you came out a champion once again, which is seems to be a routine for you at this point. And what was that like? The conditions weren't the best on that day.
Thank you. Yeah. It was a little bit chilly, but it ended up not being as cold as we all thought it was going to be. Um, but it was just a really good atmosphere and energy, and it was really fun senior year to have New England's in Maine and to be able to run it with my team. Early in the season, we weren't sure if well, actually, we didn't think we'd be able to make it, but just to qualify as a team and be able to run with my younger sister Clara and my other teammates was a really fun opportunity.
Definitely. And what does the weekly mileage going on into cross country look like? What's that build up like?
It's kind of varied between years. This summer, well, actually, the past couple of summers, I've tried to do a lot of cross training, a little bit lower mileage, and then take a little break before cross country starts, and then kind of build up mileage as the season goes on.
Definitely. And you're committed to Boise. So what went into that recruiting process?
Yeah, there were a lot of factors. I really like school, and so one of the things I was focused on was the major I want to do, and I want to do engineering. So that narrowed down a couple schools, but for the most part, most of the schools I looked at had engineering, including Boise. So then after that, I started focusing on the team atmosphere, the coaches, the opportunities, and also the location. I wanted to be somewhere where I'd be happy
Definitely.
living, not just running. And so, yeah, there were a lot of factors that went into it, but the combination of the coaches and the girls at Boise and the mountains, really, led to my choice.
Definitely. And when you say mountains, if I'm not wrong, you're a big skier. So, what is that like, during the winter in Maine going skiing?
Yeah, I do cross country skiing, and from what I've heard, there's a cross country ski area and a downhill ski area like 40 minutes from Boise. Um, but in Maine, it kind of depends. We don't get a ton of snow. Right now we have some snow, which is good. Um, but we have some nice trails behind our school. Um, and so yeah, it's kind of fun to switch it up from running, and skiing's also just really fun.
Definitely. And Ruth, this year you had the great opportunity to go to nationals. So, what is it like in a nationals where there's like 40, 50 people on the line compared to a bigger race like with 200 people getting out?
Yeah, it's definitely a different feel. It still goes out like crazy fast, but it's different than like Festival in New England's where there's like 200, 300 girls. Or like the Northeast Regional was really big. Um, but it goes out like it went out really fast. And so it's kind of crazy to line up against girls that are the best in the nation, like Elizabeth Leachman, and just have the opportunity to run with them is so cool. Or run behind them. Um, but yeah, it's fun.
Definitely. And, nationals might have been a little different than, the average typical race this year. But what was it like, in the races going up to that where you're leading a lot of the races for 5 kilometers?
Yeah, it's kind of fun to have it be different and to be amongst girls the whole time. It was cool to know some of the girls I was racing with, some from last year, some that I raced to the Northeast Regional with, like Ellie Shea and Zariel Makia, and to like go back and forth with them throughout the race. It's different to be behind and be chasing people down and have people be passing me and going back and forth, but I kind of like that,
Mhm.
just to be pushed all the way through.
Definitely. And when you're running and you're by yourself in a race, how is it competing against yourself? How do you keep pushing?
Yeah, I try and just focus on running as fast as I can, and when there's someone close behind me, trying to stay ahead to help my team get as low points as possible. So that's definitely a big motivator, especially like in the state meet and meets where the team score really matters.
Mhm.
Um, but also just seeing how far I can push my body and how fast I can run.
Definitely. And, at nationals, it's a little different than Nike where, you represent the Northeast. So what is that like, putting on a Northeast jersey and going against like say the Midwest and other places like that?
Yeah, it's kind of fun to like have a different team and like um be with other girls that sometimes I'd be racing against, um like and my team would be against, but instead we get to join together and represent our region because we're all like representing different states, but we still all get to be teammates, which it's kind of fun.
Definitely. And with the runners that I've talked about who went to the to Hoken Nationals, I heard like the gear haul was absolutely insane. So what was that like?
Yeah, Hoko is so generous. They give us everything from shoes to hats to backpacks. And it was just really generous how much they gave us, and also that they had elite athletes there to mentor us and to serve as role models and NIL athletes,
Mhm.
like Carrie Beloga, who ran last year. And um, yeah, it was just a really cool experience overall, and they treated us above and beyond, I think, what any of us ever could have expected or imagined,
Mhm.
um, which was really nice.
Definitely. Is it kind of like a surreal feeling running in races like that where, you're obviously a runner of very high caliber and you're surrounded by a lot of other runners at your level. Is it just kind of surreal knowing you made it to that point?
Yeah, it's definitely surreal and also humbling. Just like you can look at the mile split times and be like, I know that I'm not one of the top in the nation, but sometimes in a small town, there's a lot of pressure. Like, everyone thinks you're really good, but I think going to a big race like that, um, it kind of just makes me like I'm aware of it, but also like other people like, wait, there's a lot of other girls in this country that can run really fast and faster than me. And so um, it's kind of nice to have that experience and to get the opportunity to run against really fast girls. Even if I'm behind them, just to get the opportunity to meet them and put a face to the people that I see mile split times. And like Elizabeth Leachman is super fast, but she's also really nice. And it's cool to get to meet her and even get to run in the same race, even if I'm quite a bit behind. It's still really cool.
Definitely. I feel like as runners, obviously mile split is probably, a little bit everyone looks at mile split and it's kind of a surreal feeling too to see just like, you see some people throw down times and you can't put a face to a time and then you see the person and it's kind of just weird. I don't really know. For me,
Yeah, it's
it's,
like they're
it's
human.
I know it's like because you're basing them all off a number and then you see them, it's like, oh, for you, it was meeting Leachman, and it's like, oh, really nice. Um, but as a junior, I have to ask this because I run in Rhode Island. You took on the Pontigansa course. So what was your thoughts on the Ponos course?
Yeah, I liked it. It was kind of fun. The like dirt paths are kind of cool. I like that like steep hill.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I also liked that it was one loop. That was kind of fun.
I know. I mean, I gotta say, the two loop courses always mess with me. I don't know why, but I don't know. I always zone out. But Pontigansa, it's a really fun course. What's the favorite course you've run on? Would you say?
Um, Probably Vermont, New England's was in Vermont like 2 years ago. That one was pretty fun.
Thetford's course?
Yeah.
Really? Ruth, you might be the first person I've ever met to say Thetford is their favorite course. I've never heard that before. Why is it your favorite course?
The hills were really challenging. I think it was probably the toughest course I've ever run, but
Hmm.
I think that's kind of what made it the most fun. It was also my first New England, which was like just a really cool experience and um to get to run against so many top athletes. It was like one of my first like big races like that. And so I think that's part of what made it really fun is the challenge of the competition and of the hills.
Definitely. So for you, I mean, it seems like you're just such a competitor and you like to see what you're able to do. And so when you go to like bigger races, is it about like also seeing, hey, what can I do with this competition? How much farther can I go?
Yeah, definitely. Like how much can I push myself and um how well can I stack up against these other girls? And also I try and just remember to enjoy the experience and enjoy the opportunity to get to race against tough competition and push myself.
Definitely. And what got you into running?
I started when I was like 5 doing the summer track program. Um, in the summers, the youth summer track program, and I always liked the longer races. And as you get older, you get to do the longer events. Like once you get to 9, 10, you get to the 1500, and um, I always just liked the distance races and running, and it was always just really fun to get to race other kids and to
Mhm.
get to have the high school coaches as role models. And I think the low pressure, like fun atmosphere and camaraderie of the sport kept me going. And then middle school, I started to take it a little more seriously and kind of realized that it is a serious sport, but at the same time, I've always been able to keep it fun. And so since I got into it when I was younger, I think that's helped me develop a really strong love for it outside of just the competitive aspect.
Definitely. And when you're not running, what are you doing?
I do Nordic skiing in the winter and I roller ski
Mhm.
some throughout the year, especially more in the summer. Um, I like school, so I
Mhm.
do quite a bit of homework like outside of school time.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Definitely. So do you do a lot of like challenging classes in school, like AP classes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do some AP classes. Um, Nothing crazy, but I
Mhm.
like math and science and I like trying to challenge myself in school.
Definitely. So how do you, as a person who's going into engineering, how do you balance like the school load and the running load?
Yeah, I like time efficiency and staying focused, and I think that's what's helped me balance school and sports, and also I think just enjoying running and school makes the work seem less overwhelming, and obviously sometimes it is a challenge.
Mm,
But I think every high schooler, I'm sure every college kid, not that I know how the experiences in college, but um, figures out what works for them. And for me, just staying focused and enjoying both has allowed me to structure my time to fit in school and sports.
definitely. And, as you conclude your high school career, is there a moment in particular that stood out to you that is a favorite of yours?
Um, Not anything specifically I can think of, but I think probably winning states as a team in cross country. Couple times has been pretty big, especially doing it with my sisters,
Mhm.
my older sister, and then with my younger sister. Um, there's just something different about a team championship and knowing that collectively we worked hard to get there. And so
Mhm.
I think those moments, I can't think of anything specific, but those moments have been pretty special.
Definitely. Well, Ruth, thank you so much for being a guest. You're an amazing guest. And yeah, to everyone who's watching, till our next lap, see ya.